Hello everybody, happy Thursday and welcome to Worship Lab. First I want to remind you that your lyric page is linked onto this video, so make sure you click that so you can sing along. And you will need to access this page called Feelings and Needs. That will be necessary for a later activity together. So last week we talked all about joy and the different ways we feel joy and how joy comes about even in unknown circumstances. This week we're kind of on a similar topic, just really broadening it. This week we are talking all about emotions. We chose this topic because it is crucial that we explore, understand, and communicate our emotions, not only for the betterment of us, but for everyone around us. We all, at all times, have emotions. Sometimes we repress them, hide them, or share them openly, but we all feel emotions, and they are all valid. You are allowed to feel gloomy, furious, anxious, indifferent, blissful, or numb. These are reactions to our circumstances, and they are valid feelings because they are yours. So I'm going to read this poem from Robert Guerrero, titled, If You Were an Emotion. If you were an emotion, maybe you'd be sadness, crying tears too deep to comprehend, ashes of your mourning, leave winter freezing. If you were an emotion, something says you'd be anger, flurry of hands, an orchestra of left hooks with the single right play bass. If you were an emotion, perhaps you would be happiness. A bundle of smiles still stroking the fires of life. How marvelous you would be if you were an emotion. I'll place my bets on all of the above, and even then some. You're a whisper dancing on winds, never knowing any outcome, but feeling life as it flows. If you were an emotion. So welcome to you. I hope you saved a seat for all of the emotions and different things you may be feeling today. Welcome to being vulnerable with us. Welcome to worship. And welcome to the wonder.
So we as people often assume that others must know how we feel, but we are all made with different desires, needs, and abilities. It is not fair to assume that others know how we feel, and it is not fair for us to assume how others feel. These feelings need to be communicated. It is not always an easy task, but it is necessary. So next, we'll be moving into a time of honesties and affirmations, where we will share stories of how we feel and be affirmed by those with us.
I get to start, and I'm going to share a little bit of what happened in our life last evening, late evening. My kids and I decided to go play some soccer, and we were excited to do that. It was a beautiful night, and everything started really great. And as we were working on some skill, things got a little overly competitive, and feelings were hurt. And, hurt in a big way, where shoving started to enter the picture, and it was obvious that there was an issue. So I went into mom mode to try to resolve things and to mediate, and I was surprised by one of the things that came up. So one of the kids said, well, is this a big problem or a small problem? And basically, let's go from there. But anyway, we worked on it. It was not something we could really talk about or share exactly what was going on. So that frustrated me. Because, you just want a solution. So I thought, well, here we go. I'll create a diversion. So I got on the phone to call someone that usually brings us quite pivot to happiness. And that brought me further frustration because there wasn't happiness on that end of the phone. So it just kind of went from frustrating to a little worse. And basically within an hour then, went from happy, with a little bit of surprise in there, to frustration and worry. You know, all within an hour, this is how this developed. And I guess that's how the evening ended. Still with a little worry and silence, the silent treatment, and prayers for healing and reconciliation. There you go.
Child of God, your feelings are heard. Know that you do not walk alone in those emotions.
I thought of a time in the car not too long ago when I had to go with my kids across town. In the car, all four of us. It's not very far across town, but it was a very long 5 minutes. My kids are tired of each other, and they're frustrated that they cannot see their friends, so I think they have a lot of loneliness, and they express that by being really mean to each other. So in that short but so long 5-minute car ride, I remembered how hard drives to school used to be not so long ago. But some of those emotions I felt were exhausted. I'm so exhausted by how mean they can be sometimes to each other. I feel sympathetic because I know they are just missing their friends and their normal. And I feel love because I love them for who they are, even though it's really hard sometimes. So exhausted and sympathetic and love.
Child of God, your feelings are heard.
Know that you do not walk alone in those emotions.
So the other day I went to the grocery store to get some essential items, and with everything opening back up in our community, there have been new regulations that suggest we wear masks, and some stores have certain directions that you must follow while you shop. Well, I noticed that most of the customers were not following these rules, and that made me feel disappointed and frustrated and concerned, and mostly empathetic to the workers as they're actually required to follow these guidelines. So, child of God, your feelings are heard. Know that you do not walk alone in those emotions.
Today, after a lot of research and wonderings, and really being stuck in my bus for a long time and needing to leave, I decided that I would book Carter and I tickets to Seattle and Portland in October. I felt really worried because I didn't know if the timing is right or how things would be then, but I needed hope and something to look forward to. So I feel eager, enlivened, nervous, and happy.
Child of God, your feelings are heard. Know that you do not walk alone in those emotions.
All children of God, what you felt before this time, what you were feeling during, and what you feel after are heard and known by our Creator and Sustainer. God not only walks through these emotions with us, but reminds us that we are not our emotions. We are not just happy or sad or lonely. These feelings will pass over us as feelings come and go, but God will remain, and we will be freed in Christ. Amen.
When I hit the highest peak, I felt alone.
that the Bible is full of people who felt very confident in their faith, very sure of themselves as followers of God. It would be easy to think God would only choose people who didn't feel doubt or jealous or all of the human feelings we feel. But the people in the Bible are just that. They are people filled with all of the emotions that you have, strong feelings. So if you can find yourself in some of their stories, some of those stories are very unique people in the Bible. They have unique feelings and unique situations, but the story is actually the same. Chris found, as she mined through the scriptures to find some stories for us, that always people would feel these big feelings and they would cry out to God, and every time God would listen. God heard their cries. So we're going to each share a couple of stories from the scriptures to help you experience the range of emotions in the Bible, and maybe you will find yourself in one of these stories. Here is one about Moses, really popular Old Testament biblical character. Moses had a really big job in the early days. He was responsible for delivering the people of God out of slavery. And God thought he had the right gifts to do it, but Moses did not think he did. He felt very doubtful of himself because he couldn't speak very well in front of people. So God said to Moses, "Now go, for I am sending you to Pharaoh. You will lead my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." And Moses said, "But who am I to appear before Pharaoh?" Moses addressed God, and the story goes on, and God provides what Moses needs.
In the book of John, we see Thomas as he's talking with Jesus. And he says to Jesus, "No, we don't know, Lord. We don't have any idea where we're going, so how can we possibly know the way?" And Jesus explains to him who he is, and we just see how Thomas is completely confused by this concept.
In Luke, we see that the disciples are fearful as a storm is beginning, and they're looking to Jesus to help them. One day, Jesus says to his disciples, "Let's cross over to the other side of the lake." A fierce storm developed that threatened to swamp them, and they were in real danger. The disciples woke Jesus up, shouting, "Master, Master, we're going to drown." The disciples called on Jesus for help, and Jesus delivered them from the storm.
In John chapter 11, we learn the story of Mary, Martha, and Lazarus. And Mary and Martha and several of their friends in the community were grieving over the death of Lazarus. And when Mary saw Jesus, then she fell down at his feet and instead, kind of blaming, "Hey, Lord, if you had been here, my brother wouldn't have died." Probably not with that much sass, but I'm thinking, that might have been kind of how she was feeling. When Jesus saw her weeping, though, and saw the other people wailing with her, he was moved with indignation and was deeply troubled. And the story ends then with Jesus raising Lazarus. So it ends up being a beautiful blessing in this, because all those people that were there and gathered and grieving saw God's glory, and that was revealed to so many that day.
There's the story of Job, a folk tale really about a character named Job. He's known for his complaining and his raw feelings of anguish. In this folk tale, he loses everything. Finally, he complains to God for many, many, many chapters. "I cannot keep from speaking. I must express my anguish. I must complain in my bitterness. I would rather die than go on and on like this. I hate my life," Job said. "I do not want to go on living." Job cries these words to God. Job humbles himself and trusts in God and receives an even greater blessing than before all his anguish.
In the book of Luke, chapter 19, Jesus is talking to Zacchaeus, And he said, "Zacchaeus, quick, come down, for I must be a guest in your home today." And Zacchaeus quickly climbs down and took Jesus into his house in great excitement and joy. And we see the emotions of just that excitement and joy and repentance and salvation.
In Ruth, we see women who are faithful and kind with their love for one another and especially love for family. "Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. I will go wherever you go and live wherever you live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. I will die where you die and will be buried there." Here we see Ruth's faithfulness, kindness, and integrity that brought blessings of love, protection, and prosperity.
And in 1 Samuel, we hear the story of little shepherd boy David, who was brimming with confidence. He said, "Don't worry about a thing," to Saul. "I'll go fight this Philistine. The Lord who saved me from the jaws of the lion and the bear will save me from this Philistine." And that's exactly what happened. God delivered as David was convinced.
So now we're going to practice naming some feelings that you have. I heard in a Brene Brown podcast today that we typically can identify 3 feelings, and they rhyme. So you want to guess what they are?
Sad, mad, glad.
Sad, mad, and glad. I didn't realize before today they rhyme. So we can usually say, "I feel sad, mad, or glad," but there are a variety of ways to feel mad and sad and glad. You might actually, when you say "I'm mad," maybe you feel scared, or hurt, or disappointed, or insecure. There are lots of ways to experience gladness and sadness as well. Maybe you don't feel sad, but maybe you feel grief or a different kind of sorrow. So that's why we have those feelings and needs sheets attached to this Facebook post, so you can explore the wide range of feelings that you feel. In the Bible, you've heard so many different feelings from the people in those stories. So we want you to think about feelings, and what we really want you to hear tonight is the feelings you feel are the ones you need to feel. Those are good. There are not good or bad feelings. They are just your feelings. You feel feelings that just bubble up. You don't get to pick what they are. You can ignore them or repress them. It doesn't typically work very well. But you have these feelings that just surface. The feelings you feel are a response to some kind of need you have that has either been met or unmet. So if you think about those stories, we know the story of Thomas, who doubted that Jesus really did come back to life. Maybe Thomas's feeling of doubt came from a need. He had to feel certain, to have this certitude in his faith, but he felt doubt. Any feeling you have comes from some need within you. We're all unique individuals. You have unique needs, and when those needs are not met, or if they are met, you have feelings in response to that. So we're going to do something that seems really brave. We're going to practice sharing our feelings with you, because as Caitlin said earlier, when we learn how to do this, kind of scan ourselves for feelings, we have healthier homes, healthier schools, and healthier workplaces. So it's very important. So we're going to use cards that are from that list of feelings and needs that you have, hopefully in front of you. And before this service, we each picked a feeling, which took a while because there are a lot more feelings than mad, sad, and glad. So we each chose a feeling, and we're going to share those with you along with why we feel this particular feeling. So I'll go first. I chose a feeling called torn. So this could easily fall under the category of mad, sad, and glad, but I feel torn in these days because I am trying to figure out how to be a pastor right now, which is really odd. You have strange jobs these days. I feel torn trying to be with my kids and be present with them and give each of them enough attention because they don't get as much socializing right now as they'd like to. I feel torn in every area of my life, worrying about my parents, wondering how to be a pastor and how to be a mom and a wife right now. Lots of torn feelings.
My feeling that I chose is uncomfortable, and this stems from just what's going on in the world and being at home way too much at the current situation. It just has me a little unease.
The feeling I chose is curious, and this has, I think, many different meanings for me, but I'm curious in exploring newer projects like Worship Lab and how to meet with high schoolers on Zoom, but I'm also curious in an intrigued way of understanding what the world will look like after this and understanding even what my world will look like next month.
And the feeling I chose is delighted, which seems kind of strange because of my situation last night, but things resolved, so that's why I'm delighted. There was compassion and I think more understanding that happened today and over the evening hours. So I'm delighted in the moment, I guess is what I would say.
Nice. So these feelings we have are responses from needs that we have that have been met or not met. So I feel torn because I have a need for creativity. And creativity requires some thinking time alone, which is possible for probably none of us right now as we're all at home together. So my feeling of torn comes from this need I have to feel creative and express my creativity and just sit and ponder and wonder how to be creative, which isn't being met.
My feeling of uncomfortable stems from my need for freedom. As we are cooped up in our homes, not able to go to, well, we can, I guess, but not safely able to go to restaurants, bowling alleys, do activities that we, concerts, sporting events, travel to a different city even. Your freedom is kind of taken away from you in these times, and that's what causes me to feel uncomfortable.
My need that both is and is not being met is balance. So I'm feeling curious in this time, and not that it's positive or negative, but in the better way of my curiosity, because I get to be curious about the balance of work and being able to do these cool projects, but my curiosity is being hindered by not having a balance of social life and getting out and doing all of the freedoms that I want to do, but not necessarily should be doing right now.
And my feeling of being delighted comes, I believe, from my need for harmony. It is really helpful to me when everybody's getting along. I do not really like tension, so knowing that things are working and going smoother definitely helps.
So we have about as many we feel about as many emotions as we make decisions in a day. And so I think it's just good to validate those feelings and know that it's okay to feel what you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. I invite you guys to look at that list of feelings and needs and pick out a couple for yourself and just reflect on those feelings and on why you're feeling that and what needs are possibly being met or not met as we sing Hills and Valleys.
I
I'm going to invite you into a time of silence here in a minute. And I want to share a little bit out of a book given to me by a great friend. This is from With Open Hands is the name of the book by Henry Nouwen. To be calm and quiet all by yourself is hardly the same as sleeping. In fact, it means being fully awake and following with close attention every move going on inside of you. It is the freedom to stroll in your own yard, to rake up the leaves and clear the paths so you can easily find your way. Slowly and surely we begin to see new knowledge of our inner space, where feelings of love and hate, tenderness and pain, forgiveness and greed are separated, strengthened, or reformed. There emerges the master of the gentle hand. This is the hand of the gardener who carefully makes space for a new plant to grow, and who doesn't pull weeds too rashly, but only uproots those which threaten to choke the young life. We hope embracing this time of silence becomes a gift to you. Take a few moments now to sit with your feelings and find your way to peace, prayer, and new life.
Amen. We're going to continue now with prayers, and in between the petitions, we'd love for you to sing the song, Lord, Listen to Your Children Praying. After the prayers, our next song is our last song, Amazing Love, You Are My King. Please join in that song as well.
Oh
direction. We need some independence. We need to know what is next. We need, just as you have created us. Give us courage to name our needs, knowing this is how we understand who we are. And let our greatest need always be our need for your forgiveness and love.
Amen. Please join us in singing Amazing Love, You Are My King.